We're live.
Oh, wow.
That would have instilled confidence.
Good evening, and welcome to this meeting of the Old Kings Highway Committee of the Town of Yarmouth, which is being held in accordance with Chapter 470 of the Acts of 1973, as amended, at 7:14 p.m. on Monday, August 14th, 2023, at the Yarmouth Town Hall Hearing Room located at 1146 Route 28, South Yarmouth. Moreover, pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, considering certain COVID-19 measures, this meeting is being run in hybrid mode, which means live on Zoom, and there may be some phone participation as well. 4 new applications for a certificate of appropriateness and 1 application for a certificate of demolition will be heard this evening in the order listed on the agenda. Please be reminded that our committee's main purpose is to review items for appropriateness and setting, and it is the responsibility of the applicant to comply with the regulations of other town boards and departments, including building, conservation, engineering, health, zoning, and the sign inspector. You should know that there is a 10 calendar day appeal period starting once the decision is filed with the town clerk. Any person aggrieved by our decision tonight can appeal to the Regional Commission of the Old Kings Highway Historic District. Our office administrator, Lisa Sherman, will be happy to answer any questions you may have regarding this process. So our procedure is to let the applicant or the applicants and/or the applicant's representatives come forward to the table, identify themselves, speak into the microphones, and present their application without interruption by the committee or members of the public. After that happens, then the committee will be free to ask questions and make comments. And after that, the public, including abutters and other interested members of the public, are free to ask questions and make comments, and for that, they will come to that microphone at the podium to my left. So the first item on the agenda is 23-D003. It's to demolish second floor back rear section of 33 Summer Street. William Rubidge is the owner, and WD Price Incorporated is the agent. And who do we have here tonight? If you would come to the microphone, please. And
Good evening, Chairman and committee members. Wesley Price, WD Price, Inc., representing my clients Bill and Elizabeth Rubridge
okay.
at 33 Summer Street for partial demolition permit, and this next as well, which is the rebuild. So on the demo permit, we are looking to remove the back portion of the building due to foundation issues and rebuild that, which we'll talk about in the next section. But for now, it's removing that back portion of the building and rebuilding the front porch. I did file for an express permit for windows, doors, and siding in a separate application filing on Friday. I think it was, maybe Lisa might have processed that today, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's being reviewed, so, yep. It's out there.
So that's why I'm not mentioning windows, doors, and siding in this, but we'll also be doing that as well.
Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. Any comments or questions from the committee regarding this application?
I have a question, because in the package that we got, that there's highlighted in yellow is what you would plan to demolish, presumably. But as you're noting, you're doing the second floor and the first floor? Down to the, are you taking out the foundation?
So the house will not be lifted, the main portion of the house. There was an addition put on at some point after the house was originally built. That's on the back of the building. That's what we'd like to remove completely and put a new foundation and rebuild
So
from there.
the fact that this is highlighted yellow at the top is a little misleading, because you're just taking the whole thing off.
I'm not sure what you're referring to, so I guess Yes,
Language that refers to the roof, but you're saying the whole,
that's
the
correct.
whole L.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is okay, just clarification. You want to read that?
I was going to wait until the actual certificate of
Makes sense.
appropriateness, but
Makes
I guess it could come into play now.
What's that?
The letter. So, we have received a letter from an abutter, which I had, thank you, which I'll read. Committee members, my name is Sarah Hinckley, owner and resident of 29 Summer Street, Yarmouthport, a direct abutter to 33 Summer Street. I apologize that I cannot attend the meeting. The Rubages have shared their proposed construction documents of 33 Summer Street, and I would like to give total support to their plans. I hope the Old Kings Highway Committee can find support to our new neighbors whose vision relates to the surrounding properties on this section of historical Summer Street. Sincerely, Sarah Hinckley. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, Bob, because, yeah, you're right, we should have waited. It was in my demolition
I can read it
packet.
again. Okay, so, any other questions or comments from the committee regarding this?
Yeah, I do. I know you commented it wasn't probably original. Now, the Rubages, I've met them. I'll tell you the story just so everyone knows. My former realtor, when I bought my house, Jeff Klontz, was their realtor. And we're now good friends, Jeff and I. We see each other frequently. And he called me one day and said, would you come to the folks who want to look at the house, they'd love, I'm a preservation architect, and said someone who could give them an idea of what the condition of the house is. You know, was it good restoration, all of that. So I went and saw the house. I was not just, compensated. I did it as a friend. I didn't even get a glass of wine for it. I got nothing. I just did it for a friend and for them and for the house, because I love historic houses. And I know it's not. It's an L. It's an original. My comment is, I know we have no purview over what's inside, but it is a 19th century L that was added at some point, which kind of speaks to the farming that went on, to the accessory uses that people had on houses of this period. So the fact that in preservation we never think whether it's original or not doesn't matter. For example, the front portico on the White House isn't original. It was put on in 1824, but we would never think of removing it, saying it wasn't original to the construction of the house. Or the dome on the Capitol. I'm not suggesting these houses are of that importance, but the dome on the Capitol was put in during the Civil War. But we would never think of removing it because it wasn't original to the building. So with that in mind, I just feel, because I understand the need. The house is small. You have to bend and crawl and go between rooms and laundry rooms and all of that in that L. But I would love, I would, and then I have issues with the massing of the housing of the new one, which I think can really be readily resolved. But is there no way to use that? I remember I saw it. The foundation of this thing is, well, give me 5 minutes and a spade, and I could probably remove half the stones. So understanding that that has to be resolved, is there no way to preserve that structure? Obviously changing, it needs dormers and things to make it more usable, to meet the modern needs of an owner. To lose that historic resource seems a tragedy, because it's there, it's been there for a very long time, and it has a nice scale to it. So that's my question.
While you're pondering your answer. So we are governed by this document. It's called the Bulletin. There's a section in it that pertains to what Mr. Ventrone is concerned about. Powers, functions, and duties of the committee. The committee may pass upon the appropriateness of exterior architectural features of buildings and structures to be erected within the district, the demolition or removal of any building or structure or any part thereof within the district, The committee may refuse a permit for the demolition or removal of any building or structure of architectural or historic interest, the removal of which, in the opinion of the committee, would be detrimental to the public interest. So what we need to determine as a committee here is how important is this part of the building that you're proposing demolishing in light of what I've just read to you. So now I would invite your answer to the question.
Maybe I could ask a quick question while he's thinking. So is this part of the house built in 1850?
No, I don't believe so. It's not on the same foundation. The original house, part of the house is on a all granite foundation. This back is very hard to tell what type of foundation it's on. It's also very rotted. There's just significant structural damage to that portion of the building. So, notwithstanding fully gutting it, lifting it, and rebuilding it, which I think would be cost prohibitive to the clients, I think that would probably be the shortest answer to your question.
Thanks.
Yep.
And just to speak to that, if the building was, say, built in 1850, they might have put this on in 1852. No one can answer that question. So whether it's original, I can't emphasize this enough to the committee. Being original doesn't mean it's the only thing worth saving. And that's an important concept. If it was built 10 years later, it doesn't matter, ultimately. Have you had a structural engineer familiar with historic structures evaluate the building?
We have.
So you can't replace rotted sills, or you can't, I'll just so you know, my feeling about it, I don't think the windows of the dormers.
I'm a master carpenter. I could make it work, yes, but that doesn't negate what I said previously. So yes, I know how to fix the building, if that's what
But you
you're
could
asking.
restore it.
You can restore just about anything, could
Yeah.
you not?
Correct.
Thank you.
You could restore, well, that you just proved my point. So to tear down intact historic fabric, because you'd like to,
It's not because I would like to, Richard.
is because what?
It's because my clients have hired me,
Yes?
and an architect and an engineer, to design a building that they would like to spend a lot of time in, that they would enjoy and be able to use to their liking. It's not my will here.
Yes.
Okay.
But it is a historic house, and it does have value.
And we're
it's in a very
retaining
important
most of
street.
that value, I would suggest. The porch is being rebuilt, we're saving the columns. We're doing like for like on the siding. We're keeping intact the foundation. Irina McPhee previously had a permit pulled that was approved by this committee.
Yes, which never
that-
would have gotten my approval, just so you know, but go ahead.
That was approved by this committee, whether or not you're on the committee.
Withdrawn.
Carry on.
That was approved by this committee. That was significantly greater in scope and degradation of the original building than what we're proposing here today.
That's
no
true.
bearing on what we're discussing tonight at
That's
all.
also true. Both are true.
Zero.
I was on the committee at the time that the previous application submitted by previous owners was approved after several meetings. We had 2 or 3 on-site meetings at the property. The design was modified a number of times. And ultimately, the owners decided to sell the house, and now we're into a new ballgame. So, but it's also worth saying that, this committee is not governed by precedent. We are not compelled to follow what previous committees or previously constituted committees decided. I believe that no one except for myself and possibly Paula, were you on the committee at the time of 33 Summer? Yep. 2 of us were on that committee at that time. So, so it's truly a new game. And I think it's relevant to raise the question of whether or not the portion of the house that's proposed for demolition is of sufficient historic interest to warrant our protection. And quite honestly, I would like to hear from other members of the committee about that. How do we feel? We've heard from our vice chairman. How do the rest of you feel about, before I weigh in, which I will do?
I want to say one more thing, if I could. The buildings that we are losing the most historically, in every community, in every state, certainly in New England, are secondary, less, quote, important, less beautiful buildings, barns, corn cribs, other structures that aren't maintained because they no longer have a function, but were important to the use of the building at the time. This is one such structure. I am not in any way in love with any of the windows or the dormers on this building. There's nothing sacrosanct about them to me at all. But the structure of it, the frame of it, to me is important. And to let it go, to me, is a loss to this community, to lose these 19th century structures. So now I'm finished talking.
I've spoken, so I'll defer. I'd like to say something, but I'll let everybody else go first.
I don't have anything to say.
Paula? Steve?
The only thing I'll say is, when we did the walkthrough, and there were two, and I went to one of them, but I thought even at that time, there were reservations as to what, I thought we had made some decisions and said that there were still reservations about what they wanted to do. And I think that was part and parcel of why they backed off, to be honest, but I don't know how long ago it was. I don't remember. I just do remember that they did have, we had certain reservations about some of the plans they had. Now, what we agreed upon, I can't recall that, but.
Well, all right. So I'm a preservationist, but I'm not a purist. And so, and we don't always agree on this committee. I'm not of the opinion that the L addition is of sufficient historical significance to deny the application.
Is it different from when we saw it? Did the people that buy it do anything to it that made it different from when we did the walkthrough?
No, it was.
So is it
that was
basically?
I'd rather not even venture into that discussion because it doesn't have relevance to this one, and it had to do with other things. I can talk to you later about it. But so anyway, since we're done discussing this amongst ourselves.
I have one more comment.
Good.
But Steve, did you want to say anything?
Well, I have one comment, and by the way, I'm an alternate tonight, just so you know, but I recently completed a restoration of a house not too far from you. And I've learned that purism can be impractical from my point of view. In fact, I was coming over here tonight and talking about a hole that has popped in our basement with water spewing out in the last 2 weeks. So I'm expecting more tonight. So I can see the practical side of a building that really needs to be gutted from the foundation up. And to me, if I were to look at this when you drive down the street, what strikes me is the front, facing the street. Not to put down whatever agrarian use this building portion had. I'm sure it was very important at the time, but to make it livable so that you can enjoy it, I probably would take the less pure side of this. That's my only comment.
Okay. Are there any?
Let me make one more real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
Just to finish up, my final comment would be, I'm not sure what we're preserving, because clearly that's not going to be a livable structure. It's attached to a house. They're trying to create a home, I don't know how you can preserve this and do that. So that would be my concern, is that, and I don't know why we would try to preserve it. It just doesn't have anything that speaks to me of calling out for preservation. That would be my call, my last comment. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any abutters or other interested members of the public who would like to weigh in at this point? Yes.
Christine Marzigliano, I'm past president of the Historical Society of Old Yarmouth, and I also did all of the renovation at the Captain Banks Hallett House. I don't know if my comments here are for item 1 or item 2, but I just wrote something. We have a lot of new people coming into town. They have a lot of wonderful ideas, but some of them just don't always conform to what Old Kings Highway requirements are. So I just like to, this would be appropriate for anyone coming before this committee. I'd just like to say congratulations on owning a home in Yarmouthport. Yarmouthport was settled in 1639 along the historic Captain's Mile and adjacent streets. You are now living in history. Historic homes occasionally need restoration due to their aging structures. There are organizations that can assist you in your restoration work. 1, the Historical Society of Old Yarmouth has offices located in the Gorham Cobbler Shop next to the Yarmouth Post Office. They have folders on almost every historic home in Yarmouth and will assist you in determining the history of your home. In this case, you own a house that was a Civil War officer, and his uniform hangs in the Captain Banks Hallett House. You can contact the Massachusetts Historical Commission to discuss what your plans are. In the case of restoring windows, they will tell you that the old wooden windows are certainly better than the modern wooden windows. And retaining the old wavy glass will certainly keep your home historic. You can contact the Old Kings Highway Committee office to determine what your procedures are you need to follow if your home is north of Route 6 or in the historic district. You can even request a discussion before the Old Kings Highway Committee before making an application. In making any major changes to your home, be sure to hire a historic preservation architect who is knowledgeable about historic renovations. As the person in charge of the Captain's Banks Hallett Museum renovations about 10 years ago, we took great care to preserve this captain's house. The following renovations occurred. Window restoration to 34 windows. We hired a historic preservation window restorer for the windows. 5 windows at a time were removed, restored, and painted in conformity with the existing color outside, which was black, and existing colors inside. The old wavy glass was removed and reinserted during this process. Of note was discovery of an etching, 1881, on the pane nearest the front door. Apparently, in the late 1800s, ladies etched markings on window panes while waiting for their husbands to return from the sea. And there are etchings on other homes in the historic district. Storm windows. Since the original windows were single pane, we placed invisible storms on the outside to increase the insulation value. These storms have a very narrow edge and of about 1 inch, which lets you still see the beauty of the original windows. Shutters. In obtaining estimates for new shutters to replace the old rotted wooden ones, we learned that the shutters on the museum were not the correct size. Quite often, shutters were moved from one building to another without concern for the correct size. The wooden roof. In replacing the wooden roof, I spent a week on site answering questions that came up with the roofing contractor. One concerned the pointed end along the roof ridge line and whether we wanted it duplicated. Of course we did. I would recommend that extreme care be taken in contacting the right historical preservation contractors and architects to ensure that your home retains its historical value. Every few years, the Historical Society of Old Yarmouth conducts a historical house tour, whereby residents open their homes to show the historical features of their home. half capes, three-quarter capes, full capes, or how two buildings were merged together to create a home. One made in Plymouth, the other perhaps from Nantucket. There are 50 sea captains' homes in Yarmouthport. The Liberty Hill Inn is on the site where Yarmouth's Revolutionary War soldiers mustered in, and there are many Civil War heroes among us. Many homes have a square plaque denoting that the home is on the National Registry of Historic Places, and many have the round plaque denoting a former sea captain's home. Find out the history of your home and cherish its history. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the demolition item 23-D003.
Is there a second? For the purpose of a vote? Anyone? We need a second. Well, so we don't have a motion and we don't have a second. This is somewhat unprecedented. All right, I'll second it. So, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Don't think
Say, I'll
we
say-
have a quorum vote. Steve, you're going to abstain?
He's alternate.
As an alternate,
We have 5 people here.
Oh. So, Paula, are you abstaining?
I feel compelled to abstain because this happens to me, I don't know enough about these things to make I mean, I'm affecting somebody's plan here, and I understand the historical value and whether we save certain things or we don't save other things, but I don't know. I'm always between a rock and a hard place with this.
Well, that seems to be where the committee is at the
That's what I
present
feel, that's
time.
what I feel. I'm torn. That's why.
Just,
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to see historic things torn down, but I'm not confident in what I know about it to put the kibosh on it or to agree with it, so
Okay.
I don't know.
So, I have discussed, actually coincidentally, this scenario with our lawyer, and his advice is to try to push the people who are on the fence to get off the fence and vote. So, having said that,
All right, so having said that, as I look at this structure, in my ignorance of same, I don't see anything, looking at these pictures, that I would consider, that I would be devastated if it were knocked down. So, I guess that puts me in the camp of knock it down.
so we have 3 aye votes, so you can continue to abstain if you wish.
I will say aye.
All right. The application is approved by a vote of 4 to 1. And if you would kindly sign this document that says if you're going to make any changes, to please let us know.
I hate this.
Thank you.
Drives me crazy.
No, this one wasn't. Okay. And you can knock over my placard if you wish. Seems to be the thing to do. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, that was just for the demolition.
Correct.
That's the first, yes, we're going to proceed.
Does everyone have to sign that?
He signed this, he did sign.
We're not gonna let you build anything on the site. Now that we've said you can knock it down, you're all done.
historic nature of the land would be nothing's there.
Really, let's put it back to pasture.
Motion for denial.
Oh, what did I say?
No, you got it just right.
Okay.
We approve the denial. It's almost like a double negative. And then we approve the demolishment.
Yeah, not with demolition.
Okay. Okay. The next item on the agenda is 23-A100, to build an addition in the rear of the house with a new foundation, new deck, extended dormer, reframe porch, and add bay window to front of 33 Summer Street. William Rubridge is the owner, and W.D. Price Incorporated is the agent. So, about this one.
Good evening, committee. Thank you.
Good evening.
So, 33 Summer Street, we would like to create some additional floor space, given the now approved demolition of the back part of the structure. The rebuild for that space will be to match existing in trim style, siding style, existing roofing style. The dormer the purpose of the dormer extension is to, actually, I don't believe the dormer extension is on that plan. Is that accurate?
It is.
The dormer extension is actually eliminated over the kitchen. We'd like to add a skylight there. I don't know if that's on the plan or not.
That isn't on the plan.
It's not on the plan? It is on the plan?
It isn't. So you're going to pull the extended dormer back.
Dormer where it is, as opposed to extending it and then adding a skylight as a way to get light into the kitchen.
Is that on the north end?
That would be on the, no, that would be on the south elevation of the
The
two.
left side as you look at the front of the house.
Left side.
And we had drawn in, originally there was a proposal to build a deck there. We've scaled back that for cost control reasons, value engineering, and I'd like to put an 8x8 screen porch off of that back, that corner on the south elevation to the left of those two small rectangular windows. That will be the access to the mudroom area on the back of the dwelling.
Okay, I'm sorry, say that one more time. So you're on the south elevation, you're doing what? To get a deck?
Yeah, we'd like to, the deck is going to be about an 8x8 sun porch with steps off of it, or screen porch, I should say.
Right, so if we're looking at the existing and proposed, it's to the left.
It's to the left where that door is,
Okay.
door number 2.
Yeah, okay. Where's the kitchen?
The kitchen is behind those two windows that are labeled F on that same elevation. To the left of the bay windows. The porch extension, so the other,
Extension.
yeah, the other part of the addition is the porch extension and the new bay window on the front of the dwelling, which we believe enhances the architectural nature of the structure, mirrors the existing window that's on the side. The porch, we're going to maintain the original columns and extend them so that the columns themselves, which are, I believe, original to the structure, stay there.
Existing.
That's is the short of it. I don't think there's a lot of other features happening on the exterior of the project. That. So I'll stop there.
Okay, questions or comments from the committee?
I have a couple of questions. The figures, and I don't know if I have the most recent, seem to not show any chimneys. Is that correct?
So there is a chimney on,
Proposed rear elevation shows it. But,
Are you keeping the original chimney?
yeah, that's probably.
the original chimney on the front of the house at the, yes, presently, yes.
That's a good question, yeah.
What about the one that is in the knockdown? Clearly, no.
Right.
Second question I have, if I'm looking at this, I guess a side view, is the roof line continuous across the whole length of the house?
There is no change in ridge height elevation, yes. The dormer is what breaks up that long run.
So it'll be a single span from the front to the back?
Yes, with pitch changes, so although the ridge location is centered, the dormers won't be like the same pitch, so there'll be changes to the pitch due to dormers. So yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Can you tell me about the, in the proposed plans, the windows that look like they're almost half windows on the second floor? Both on the north and the south.
Yeah, those are, so windows C, the C windows.
That's what they're called?
Well, that's the moniker on the plan.
Oh.
But they do match, we're not changing the rough openings, so they actually match the existing
Oh, really?
dormer windows, yes.
Oh, no kidding.
To believe.
Okay, that's interesting.
Is that pitch on the dormer on the south elevation, is the pitch shallower on the new dormer? Looks like a different pitch.
Is the pitch shallower? The pitch will stay the same, we're not changing the roof line at all.
No, I'm talking about dormer, the roof of the dormer.
We won't be changing the roof line of the.
Okay, so it's just being, the dormer's extending further toward the back of the house.
Well, I'm not sure, so do you have the plan where there's 4 windows in that dormer?
Yes.
So that fourth window was changed from the original. If you go back to the existing or the original condition,
Right.
there's only 3 windows in that dormer, and that's going to stay that way.
It's only 2 in the existing.
Yeah, according to us, there's only
Well,
two.
2 in the
No, there are 4.
existing.
Existing south elevation?
Existing south.
Only 2 in that dormer,
Yeah.
in shape and size, and
Ladies, look at the front page, the cover page. Look at the cover page, very first page. That's the south elevation of the house. See it? That is the south elevation of the house.
Can you show us what you're looking at? Oh, okay, so it's the,
First page of the drawing set.
there we go.
All right. So, see the 4 windows
Yeah,
on the dormer? Notice how the far left window, there is a vertical line between it and the first of the 3 windows that are equally spaced. He's removing that section of the dormer and keeping the 3 windows that are on, there were 2 windows there before. These new windows are not where the original windows were. They're close, but they're not in the same place. And the dormer will end over those 2 Landsat windows. That vertical line is the edge of it.
So he's taking dormer away.
they had added dormer, and now that dormer is being taken away, and they're keeping the original. I actually think it might even be shorter than that. The original shed dormer that's already there
Okay.
is being kept. They've added a window to it.
So,
Am I right in saying that?
Thank you, yes.
I'm sorry, I'm so confused. So is this the is this existing on this page with a dormer with 2 windows? Is that the existing? It says existing
Yes, it is.
south elevation. So there's 2 windows there, and then the proposed had 4, but you're saying that you're only going to do 3, so it's not going to go that far.
Are you keeping the exact same dormer as it was?
No, it's going to be bigger.
Or is it going to be enlarged at all?
It extends
The
beyond,
existing shed?
Yep. Give me 1 moment.
it exists beyond this bay window here. That line is beyond this, and this is before it.
Yes,
So
correct.
the
And this is
dormer's
obviously a
bigger.
different scale, so,
Right, but the dormer's,
yes.
even if it ends here,
Yeah,
it
here's mine
extends
too.
further.
Yes.
It extends out to here.
Here's my proposed and existing.
Yes, but they're, of course, they're at a different scale, so one looks bigger than the other.
Right,
But,
but
yeah.
Right, but this
there's
is that-
2 and there's
that-
4.
yes, but that- So that dormer line is right here,
Right.
and this is no longer being framed out. So it's, this is the original.
No, I
density.
was,
Bring it back,
right,
yeah.
Just trying to get a handle.
just trying to understand, which is,
Right.
that's fine.
So the windows are moving, and we are reframing the dormer.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So it's becoming a little bigger.
It also looks like you're using 1/1 and then 2/2. Are you using different windows in this house?
2/2 is the window, is the Mutton design. 2/2, so they'll all be 2/2.
The 2 windows on the front of the house up top look like 1/1. And then the bay window is 2/2.
There's a lot of 6/6 windows currently in the house, aren't there? Aren't there a lot of 6/6 currently in the house?
Here. 6/2.
I think they're 2/2.
There
Okay.
is a mix in the house presently.
What are you proposing? I'm sorry.
2/2s everywhere.
That's all right.
I'll tell you my concern. I'm happy to hear you're cutting that dormer back. The issue I have is with the ridge line continuing throughout the house, making it, you've effectively
Masked.
masked the original lines of the house. So I'm happy to hear you're getting rid of that section of dormer. I would ask that you pull that kitchen back 12 or 18 inches on the south side so that we see the corner of the house. And lower, I don't care if the pitch changes even, lower the L that you're adding back in so that there is a break from the original line of the roof from the L, which I think could easily be done, and not take away anything that you want to do inside. And I'm going to add, I'll just finish my part while I'm here, because it's interesting. This is, earlier you heard me speak of removing something that isn't there. One of the things in preservation that I, as a preservation architect, and by the way, I want to say I don't consider myself in any way a purist. I know I've been labeled that by some people on the board today, but it's interesting. When I saw this house, I thought, and I actually had this conversation with a friend just today, you want to add a bay in the front and you want to add the porch. I have a problem with it only because I think where the roof of the bay and the roof of the porch, they come so close to each other that they're practically touching. I think that's actually is the problem. But I don't like the aesthetics of it. But here's the interesting thing, and I'm not saying this to argue a point, I'm just saying it's interesting. And I'll say this to the committee, because I know some people on this committee probably have a problem with that bay. I have a problem with the roof of the porch coming so close to it. When I saw this house, I thought, that would look great with a veranda stretching all the way across the front of the house. That's what I thought. And I thought, and if 1880 someone did that, and you came to us tonight and said, we want to remove the whole front of the porch and make it look like it does right now, guess what this committee would do? We'd deny you. We would say, you can't remove that porch. And if it had been put on in 1880, and it was there now, and you wanted to make it look like it does right now, something we might be fighting on this board to make you keep this way, we would have said, oh, no, 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 you can't do that. That porch has been there for a long time. So the least of my concerns is this bay, because I think it's something that someone very well may have put on that house in 1880. It looks nice on the side, honey. Let's put it in front too. And I think that so I really have the problem I have is with the two, the way they meet. I think they're very close, and I've got to tell you, unfortunately, we've had all this rain. I think it will be a problem with rain pouring into this, like, I don't know how close that is.
It's far enough to have a shingle between the two, a 5-inch shingle and a gutter will fit
I mean,
between the two.
it's a little, visually, graphically, I think it's a little tight. But I would say one or the other, but again, I'm not here to design it. But I think it's interesting because one of the things in preservation that I take issue with is the idea of it's frozen in time, which I don't believe it has to be. Look at all those houses in Concord, those 18th century houses with towers and all these crazy additions that we now look at as amongst the most beautiful houses in Concord, with these sprawling Victorian additions that today we wouldn't allow anyone to do, but there they are, and they look great. So I would, again, for my part, I think it would be vastly improved, massing and scale-wise, if you pulled the kitchen back from the south 12, 14, 16, whatever, not much, to expose that corner, leave kind of the roof line, and lower the roof of the L so there's a break, so we can see where the original house was and where the new addition is. And I think that can be done really without depriving you of anything. So that's my part. That's what I would say.
Okay, first of all, for the record, I made the statement that I am not a purist. I don't recall anybody on this committee commenting on
there was
whether
a suggestion.
you are not.
There was a
purist.
suggestion.
So that was not said and not implied either.
But okay.
So, having said that,
In every
now
way implied.
my concern always is, and the concern of our mandate, as dictated by the Act, is how the house presents to the street. So, so we're looking at a fairly significant change to the front of the house, are we not?
By the addition of the porch and the bay window?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Which are conjectural changes. There's
I'm sorry.
no historic evidence that they existed in antiquity, correct? This is a
On this
design idea that
specific
you...
building?
Yeah.
On this specific building or as a general design principle?
On this specific house.
I don't know the answer to that. I haven't researched that at the historical records.
Okay. I think that would be germane, and from my point of view, essential for me to go along with such a major change to the front facade of the house. I understand the desire to do it. One could easily argue that it looks better, quote unquote. The reason for the asymmetry of those lower story windows on the front of the house is because the interior of that front portion of the house there was a wall removed at one point. So there was a reason in antiquity why there's that separation between the two windows on the left side of the facade as you're facing the house and the one window, I'm talking about the ground floor, on the right. And strictly speaking from a design point of view, bay looks very nice there. But we have no idea whether anything like that ever existed on that house. So,
Are we trying to, sorry, go ahead.
so that's a problem for me personally.
Okay.
Now, about the porch, so could you be specific as to what your idea is for entryway, which was recessed in sometime in the late 19th century, I would imagine. How are you going to reconfigure that exactly?
Well, I think, I mean, is there a specific question? It's going to be 6 feet out from the front of the house, that is centered on the existing window.
So you're going to bring that exterior door forward? No.
The exterior doors doesn't move,
Okay.
and the roof line that protrudes to the, that the existing roof line that protrudes to the north stays. So essentially, we're coming out 6 feet and turning a corner, creating a hip, a double hip. So a hip on the left and a hip on the right. The entry, the footpath to the front door is now offset as opposed to being straight on, which is not an uncommon historical way to enter a building. I don't think we're out of place relative to time period or aesthetic.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the porch, though? Is there, underneath the bay window, is there a porch now being added? No. Okay,
The bay window and the porch are separate elements as,
okay.
or separate additional structures that are not connected by a roof.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from the committee?
One comment about the front facade, the 3 existing windows that are 2 together and 1 to the right. It's possible that right window may have been a door early on. Would have been a typical design from an early time.
What will the roof of the bay windows be composed of?
It will match the existing. It's not going to be copper or
Okay.
anything like that. It won't be cedar. It will be asphalt.
And is the trim white?
Trim is white, yep.
No shutters?
No, there's no shutters. There's no shutters presently on that elevation, so we didn't put them back.
And so the entire new home will be re-sided in hardy plank, is that the plan?
No, we're going to actually side it in wood. The existing area will be clapboard. That is clapboard, will stay clapboard, and the existing area that's white cedar will remain white cedar.
And will it remain white?
White cedar.
Okay, but painted white. It's painted white now, right?
The white cedar is not painted white.
Oh, okay, so the shingles, sorry, the shakes.
Oh, the sage green, right. We didn't, have not brought the color approval before the board yet. So, sage green is the preferred color of Elizabeth.
Of the what?
That's not.
And with bright white trim.
white.
The trim?
The whole house.
The whole house?
Yeah, I noticed you had some color
The clapboard is-
samples
Well, I
up
guess
there.
that's, you're coming back, you say.
For the color, yeah. Wasn't
Because
prepared.
isn't it white now?
The house is white.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're proposing to change that?
Not yet.
Okay.
That's not, it wasn't my intended to have that discussion at this meeting. But, yes, I guess that will be the future, a future meeting, yes.
I'm trying to keep the original part as original as
Yeah,
possible.
I have to say that I'm not crazy about the extensive changes to the front of the house that's
Yeah,
most
I
visible
think
from the
that's where I'm
street.
struggling, because that's,
Was there, I mean, I understood, is there a historical, I mean, do you feel that you would not have seen this design 150 years ago? Is there something about the design that is out of place?
No, but I don't see that question as particularly relevant.
I actually
You
do.
just mentioned to me, Chairman, that,
no, I did.
You did?
I said, and I was speaking for myself, but I think what I'm struggling with is knowing that the back end is going to be taken down, which is a loss, but can't be really preserved practically, perhaps, and we're trying to figure out why it should be. That's done. It's being demolished. Now, I'm trying to keep the front of the house, which is very much our purview, as original as possible.
And see, this is where I will disagree with the chairman.
Well, it's
I
not
agree
the
that your
chairman, it's me.
conversation, I know, but, well, he said that he didn't think it was relevant whether it was been done 150 years ago or not. My issue, which no one else on the committee seems to have an issue with, is the roof line being continued, well, Steve did ask about it. I would like to see that broken, and I would like to see it pulled back a little bit at the kitchen, which again, I don't think changes it. As far as the front is, I'm sorry?
Well, if I may on that point, there is, if you look at that side elevation, or, and I don't know, do you have the floor plan?
I do, yes.
So if
Just so
you
you know, in one of the, just as a, so you understood, the photocopies we have, and actually reprinted them when I was home today. They're big files, it was like 5 minutes a page. But but like the chimney on the drawings, it's ghosted, so it's like gone. So some of them, and we only have 8.5 by 11s, it's hard to see a lot, and even with a magnifying glass, I have trouble. But go ahead, tell me what sheet?
So on page A1, if you look at where the jog in the new addition happens beyond the kitchen,
Yes.
the rightmost point of that bay window, I think it's an appropriate symmetry given the left and the right side where that new jog is. So that's been extended 10 feet 1 1/4 to the outside of the kitchen.
Yes.
And then the jog occurs.
Well, that's where I would ask you, I would say, I would prefer for the original mass of the house to read. So if that, where the stove is, where the range is, pulled back, not the rest of it, but if that pulled back, like I said, 12 inches, could pull back 12 inches, I mean, it's a big kitchen. You could extend that wall on the inside. It would make the corner read as the original mass of the house. That's my thing with it. You see what I'm saying? Just there, just that wall, not the jog, nothing else. But it would let you read the corner and the roofline mass. And then again, that would then require the roof to come down a bit just because of the angles and the geometry of it. And you would read that. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to take your argument with this because we might not have historical evidence that there was ever a bay there, and there probably never was, because we probably know it. But does it have to be frozen in time? And I think it is a scale-wise appropriate in scale for the house. I think if it had been there in 1890 and removed, and you came in and wanted to put it back, we would cheer and throw gold coins at you. So the fact that it wasn't there means nothing to me. What you're trying to do there looks right in scale and in massing. Again, I still think I'd pull that farmer's porch back. I mean, quite frankly, I almost say bring the thing all the way over to the corner. But how deep is it on the deck side? The part that's there, how deep is it?
6 feet 11, excuse me, it's probably 5 feet, 5 feet,
Okay.
5 feet 11.
I mean, 6 feet is like minimal for you to be able to really sit on it and enjoy it. You see these farmers' porches on these new houses that are 4 feet deep. You can't even sit in it without knocking your knee against the railing. But so that's for me. I'm going to think. I have no issue with it. Again, I think the porch hugs it a little closely at the roof level, and it's a little tight. I might bring it back a foot or something, just so there's a little more breathing room. But again, I think it is something that would very well have been done at the time by the people that owned this house. And I know the Secretary of the Standards say you shouldn't give a false appearance of history. Well,
That's true.
it's true, but at the same time, this house is being so altered, I think it'll be very handsome.
I just want to be clear on what you're proposing, focused on A1. So Rick, are you proposing that the jog back will reflect and more or less be in a straight line with the jog on the other side
This is what
of the
I'd like.
house?
No.
Where?
Here.
Along that line?
I would say here. So this is the original, I'm pointing to the southwest corner of the house at the bay. This is the original corner of the house.
Yeah.
Right, there's the bay. I'm saying I would like this wall here,
I
where
got
the
it.
range
Okay.
is, to pull back Let's call it a foot.
Just to define the original, okay.
Let's call it a foot.
All right.
That's it. So everything, and of course, on the inside, they'd probably, because the counter want to extend that wall a bit. And it would, I'm going to bring this.
No, I got that.
No,
So,
I'm going to bring it to you folks, just so you see what I'm suggesting.
so while we're discussing that,
Yeah, we got that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's,
sure.
just enough. Again,
to me that
12
there was
inches
no
is even enough.
neighbor's porch.
And then obviously you probably want to extend that a bit, but,
And does it
so you
exist?
have your counter.
But it's not so much
I know, but that's what I asked, and he said no.
So this gets narrow.
There was a porch gonna be added.
Yes, oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's
In other
not,
words, we can't
it's
shift
not
the
there
entire
now.
addition due to,
No, that's being added.
No, I wouldn't do that. Could
I
you,
don't like that.
could you
No,
maybe
no, on the
make
front.
this a little
This is the
return there, just so it defines that as a little,
so we really, this
area,
is,
a little more?
excuse me,
That's what we
excuse me, Mr. Vice Chairman. So this is a public meeting, so we need everyone to be engaged with it, so this
Yeah.
private conversation is not being broadcast to the public. All this has to be repeated. None of this got broadcast, so it,
Well, it was all, it's not resolved.
That was ex parte.
Yeah, it's not, that wasn't resolved. We're just-
try to retain some control over this meeting if it's possible. Let's try to make sure that
not as simple as
everything
that.
is
How about I
public,
leave it there?
because we are subject to open meeting law here, and we want to make sure that everything is public. So, do you understand what his suggestion is insofar as retaining the original corner of the house on that side where the kitchen is? And is that a doable thing from your perspective?
Proposed front.
It's not as simple as pulling it back, is what they're saying, and I understand why they're saying that.
Look at it. We're gonna take a really hard look at it.
Okay.
Because it involves the moving of the sink and the window.
Just we move to,
He said no.
move this
I'm gonna ask him
and have
Yeah.
these things that we're talking about redone, like
Well, first
lower
of
the
all,
roof.
I think it's important that the applicant knows, and that the committee knows, where we stand on this application, and where we stand on the philosophical question of the front of the house, and whether or not we feel it appropriate to make a substantial change to the front of the house. I'm just going to say, based on conjecture. I have a problem with that. And I do understand that because of changes that have occurred over time to the house inside, that those changes reflected what happened to the house outside, and that the two windows separated by a big expanse and the single window is visually awkward. I get that. I understand that. I don't know that I'm concerned that the whole bay window idea is, in effect, gilding the lily. We're adding something very significant to the front of this house that we don't know was there ever. And I'm wondering if in that location, in that house, which is a fairly modest house, whether it makes sense even conjecturally. I'm not, I find it problematical, frankly. So,
Can
I
say-
would,
Can I just say one thing, Bob? I'm having a problem with the bay window, and you've got a farmer's porch somewhere in front of that house that you want to put down, right? A farmer's porch abutting a bay window,
Yeah.
that just doesn't seem right to me. If you're gonna have a farmer's porch, I don't know, and you're gonna stop it so you can put a bay window next to it? Is that the plan, have a farmer's porch with a bay window next to it?
Well,
That,
so I think from the,
that just seems weird to me, but on this kind of a house. You either have a farmer's porch and whatever windows, or you don't have the farmer's porch and have the bay window. I mean, I grew up in a Victorian house, and, you know, we had a porch, but it was in the corner of the house itself, and then the wall of the house with the bay window in it. But to have a bay window and a farmer's porch side by side, I don't know, that seems weird to me.
Well, when we first looked at this house, we fell in love with it. We fell in love with the character. We fell in love with the interior. And the one thing that bothered me about it is, basically, when you looked at it on the property, I always felt like I was going like this. Like it was listing to one side. And also inside, we're actually in the main structure, we're not tearing down any walls. We're preserving as much as we can of the original house inside as we can. But the one thing that got me about this, and we took a trip to North Carolina to see my mother-in-law, and she grew up in Raleigh, and, or Durham, is it Durham? Raleigh. And there's a section that has all of these Victorian little houses like this, like all over the place, blocks and blocks of them. And I made him drive down almost every single one so I could see, you know, what was so amazing about it and what we can, you know, capture in our house. Because the one thing that bothered me about this house is in the you're not getting any light. You're not showing off the natural beauty of the house.
Put the
with
bay
natural
window
light.
in.
And so, again, when I go back to this house and I see these two windows here and the one window there, I'm thinking, there had to have been a bay window there. And even driving up and down 6A, you see some of these smaller houses. Some of them do have bay windows. Yes, I agree, they don't have the porch going all the way around, but the reason why I stopped the porch there, or I wanted to stop the porch there, is because I wanted that light in.
Yeah.
And so, you know, yeah, we could, as you say, with the pitch on the roof, we'll take a look at that. But, you know, that front room is so beautiful and could be so beautiful. And I just thought that the adding the bay window will just enhance it and make it just a, you know.
I love the bay window, I hate the porch abutting it.
I would wager,
That's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I think that's where we're sort of all there.
Mrs. Ecker is correct, that one-off window was, you can see, I was in your front room, they've been combined
Right.
with that kind of 1940s, 50s arched thing.
Right.
I would wager that she is correct, that it didn't have the side, didn't have the stair where you have that lovely stair now, and it had a front door there. It was a simple Greek Revival house, and there was a front hall, and it was remodeled. Again, now we can have the same discussion. In 1875, when they remodeled it with the porch you have on now, would the HDC back then that didn't exist allow them to do it? All right, so, but now it's there. And as we like to say, history is never wrong. So it's there, and it's great, and we love it. But it was an addition to an otherwise simple little gable-to-the-street Greek Revival house that probably had a front door where that window is. I agree with Paula. I think that you have one or the other. I think that there is a collision of these two things, and I understand the desire for it, because who doesn't like to sit on a veranda? So, there.
And I think the roof over the farmer's porch is going to limit the light coming in that area. So if your goal is to get more light in, having that roof overhanging the farmer's porch, that's going to diminish the light on that side.
Due to the way that the house is articulated on the lot, that's not correct, but yes.
That's the north side.
North-south
and-
axis and so the east-west axis, and so that gets sun and then it gets no sun, it doesn't get sort of blocked at all. But your point is taken.
Will the front of the farmer's porch roof be on the same plane as the front of the bay window, or they are
Elevation plane or plane depth?
depth?
The depth, no, the bay window is much less deep than the, if you look at
So,
self-elevation.
okay, so it projects.
Yep.
Okay.
So helpful if these were on the same page.
Any other questions from the committee or comments?
You know, I have seen, there's a house with the bay window, and they have a farmer's porch, and the farmer's porch comes like this, and then where the bay window is, they bring the farmer's porch in a semicircular ideation. So you've got the same depth of porch where it goes to the wall as you would to the bay window. It's just a question of bringing the deck or the porch out in a semicircular, so it would be as far away from the bay window as it is from the wall. To bring it up and stop it, I don't know, it doesn't seem right. So I think if you want a farmer's porch, make a full farmer's porch that extends the deck out of the porch out in front of the bay window, creating the same amount of space. Do you understand what I'm trying to get at?
Again, it's just that
Does
the
anybody
light,
think that's a good idea?
the light of
I know what you're saying.
How would the roof work? How would the roof work in that idea?
Well, it would have to go beyond the corner of the house.
We're really,
Roof over the bay window and a roof over the farmer's porch?
we're really venturing into the territory of designing this house, and that's not our function here.
Yes, I agree.
So,
rather not have
I think what,
between that and that. I agree with that.
first of all, I'd like to hear everybody on the committee who wants to speak on the subject. And let's hear all the reservations, hesitations, comments, suggestions about not just the front and the showing the original corner of the corner of the original house. If I understand there's a problem with that. And if we're done discussing it, then I'll ask if there's any comment. Oh, go ahead.
You're going to reproduce that open kind of fretwork columns for the porch. You intend to reproduce them. I know this is painful, and we're being as clear as mud. That said, what it does tell you both, all three of you, is that it's a beautiful house, and we care about it. So there's that. We want to do the right thing for the house. Again, this goes into philosophy, and I think on some level we disagree. But my feeling about it is, I think that I agree that they're conflicting, those things. I think that farmer's porch veranda, I'm going to call it a veranda because I like that term better, and it's a Victorian term. And that's what I'd call it. It's this horizontal porch that runs around the building. I think it should be cut back a foot so that it's not so close to the bay. But I don't think you were, in my opinion, you were not putting something on conjecturally. You just want to add something that you're not saying was ever there, but that is appropriate for the style and era of the house. And there would be people who would disagree with me. The chairman is one of them.
Definitely
Being
am.
that we are so far from a pure restoration of this house at this point.
That's right. That's right.
My feeling about it is, you want it. I think it will be lovely if you do the detailing correctly. Get it right in terms of that eave, like the bay, match that bay. Do it, and I know I'd want to be able to sit on my front porch. And the reality is that side one is nothing you can sit on. So as far as I do think you should lower that roof, and I think you should cut that corner back. And I think you'll be happier with the look of the house, because right now it's kind of this big blob in my mind. And I think if you bring that roof down, not changing any space requirements or any programmatic elements, it will be better looking. But otherwise, you have my blessing.
Well, all
Want
right.
to make a motion? You want someone to make a motion?
Not yet.
I have a question about, did you say that the windows were being put through an express permit? They were not included in the discussion tonight? Is that what you said earlier?
Well, you're certainly welcome to comment, because it's part of the larger, I filed a permit on Thursday because I didn't realize this was a 10-day delay, and my framer has a schedule that is, there's things that I'm managing that aren't of your concern, but, so please, if you'd like to talk about the windows.
Right, so I guess I have a problem with getting rid of the original windows. So if you're going to replace all the windows in the house, I have a problem with that.
So I took a course at the Boston Architectural College a number of years ago on historical preservation. And in that course, one of the biggest topics was about window preservation. And yes, preserving windows can maintain a historic structure's appeal. And they can be sort of as efficient as, not quite as efficient, but sort of as efficient as a new construction, double pane window, certainly not a triple pane, but a double pane. You know, I think if the muntins are designed well and the window profile is done well, you know, it's a hard sell from I'm also a certified passive house consultant, so I study energy efficiency. And you're not gonna ever gain that efficiency back by not replacing your windows. A lot of windows are replaced in historic buildings, and a lot are saved. I don't know why those decisions are made or not made. I've certainly replaced a number of them, and I've also saved a number of them. So I'm not really familiar with why those decisions are made. But I do feel like a house that's built in the 1850s, there's no gaskets on these windows. The weights are I got to open up walls to rework the weights if we want the windows to work properly. They need to be oiled. Some of them need to be rebuilt. Many of the original glass panes aren't there. There's a few panes of wavy glass. Maybe in 20 windows in the house, there's, I'd say, 10 panes of wavy glass that are original. So
They happen to be in the front?
if you look at like certain sashes, there's a wavy pane and then 4 that aren't original.
Okay.
And then there's a wavy pane, you know what I'm saying? So they've broken over time. So, you know, while I respect what you're saying, I don't necessarily agree with it, but.
All right, so it would be nice if this committee were be able to provide you with some consensus guidance on how to proceed. It would not appear that you're going to get that tonight. I'm sorry about that. But, you know, we're all individuals and we all have our own opinions. So I'll express mine one more time. I understand the desire to alter the front of this house. I understand it. And it has been already altered at some point in its history. I also understand that. My own feeling is that if this were my house and I wanted to do something to improve the symmetry and the design of the front of the house, I would try to come up with something as modest as possible, so as not to inject the element of conjecture, or too much conjecture, or too much creating something. I live in an 1825 house too. There are certain things about the design of my house I would have done differently had I been around in 1825 to design it. I wasn't. And, you know, the thing about buying an old house is it carries with it certain obligations to respect the antiquity of the house. And that can be difficult. And certainly one of the things is the lack of light in old houses, because windows were smaller, panes of glass were smaller. These are the things that we who live in old houses live with, because that's part of loving an old house. So what might be useful at this stage of loggerheads, on the committee I'm talking specifically, is if we were to have a site visit to the house. We could see the house inside and out, we could assess the windows, the age of the windows, how historically significant we think they are, how salvageable they are. We could offer, if we think that their significance, or if we believe the windows to be significant historically, we can provide ideas, which I know you already know, about methods to make them energy efficient by the addition of maybe interior plexiglass storm windows, which I have in my house, or they make very nice exterior storm windows. You know, have the disadvantage of your having to remove them in the summer months, or the months other than the winter months. But it just doesn't, I feel to some degree that as a committee, we're kind of letting you down here tonight, because we're not really pinpointing, there's not a consensus on this committee. And I think if we were physically present on site at a date and time that was convenient for you, and obviously for as many of us as possible, that we might be able to make a better, more informed judgment about the house, about, and maybe come to a meeting of the minds that will maybe not be everything that you want, maybe not be everything that we want, but will get you a lot of what you'd like to
That
have.
not constitute a special meeting then? Because we will be having a meeting.
What will have to happen, and I will advise I'm glad you brought that up. I will advise the committee of this. If we are, if three or more of us are present.
I
at
won't
this-
be attending because I've seen it, so.
If three or more of us are present on the on-site visit, then by virtue, according to the open meeting law, we will not discuss amongst ourselves at the time of, we can discuss one-on-one with you, we can talk one-on-one with each other, but not as a group, not as a quorum. So it's kind of dancing around the issue, getting around the open meeting law, but in this case, I don't know how the other members of the committee feel. I think we need more information. I think there's nothing like a site visit to gain that information.
I agree.
Well, we're renting right across the street, so we're available anytime you are.
At the church?
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
So,
Well,
Question from Bill is how soon could that occur?
how soon?
Yes.
Next week or two.
yeah, sure.
So I have another request for, is it Wesley?
Yes.
If we do come up with some revisions that we are then going to review, I'd like to request that if you do any revisions to the plans, that you print them in such a manner that you have existing and proposed on the same page for each elevation, because I'm just flipping through these pages and having the hardest time finding the proposed versus, it's just very hard to dig them up and find them. So if that's possible, it'd be extremely helpful for us.
Also, a couple of 24 by 36s would be really nice to have.
24 by 36s?
It would be nice.
Just a couple.
These are,
To scale, yeah.
so,
And I have a request because I'm having a hard time visualizing the farmer's porch that you are proposing, because it's really not depicted.
all right, so I saw,
I'm sorry, what was your,
The
Elizabeth? what was-
the farmer's porch, I'm having a hard time visualizing the front of the house with the bay windows and a farmer's
Yeah.
porch.
So what are you requesting?
Maybe, I mean, all we have here, you know, this is all we have is.
any possibility for 3D renderings?
Not with this specific
Exactly, yeah.
architect, but,
The picture A3, proposed front, that's all we really have.
Yeah.
So it's really hard, for instance, to see the roof lines. It looks like, you know, there's
Yeah.
so many roof lines going in different directions.
Okay,
No columns shown, or maybe there is.
so
It's
I,
almost invisible.
all right, any other comments or questions from the committee at this point?
No.
Okay, so I did see, Christine, you'd like to address us again?
One thing that wasn't discussed, in the historical write-up on the house was always a white house with black shutters, and up until the time of the prior owner buying the house, there was a picture in the folder showing the house, a white house with black shutters. So it was the prior owner that removed the shutters, and it's up to you whether or not you want to discuss restoring the shutters back to the house. That's all. Thank you.
That's an interesting point, thank you.
Thanks, Christine.
Christine, how old is the photograph? Do you know? The age of the photograph? Approximately?
The write-up would have been done about 50 years ago, and I'd have to look at the assessors records whenever the lady
Oh,
bought
okay.
the house 15 or 20 years ago.
Misunderstood, I thought you were talking about a historic photograph.
No.
Okay, never mind. All right, so,
Table?
I'd like to entertain a motion at this point.
To table. I move to table item 23-A100.
A second.
Excuse me if I may.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Before that gets tabled, is there a possibility of approving the addition in the back and tabling the porch and bay windows so that I don't completely,
Well, we have the jog issue still.
oh, I think that might be solvable, I don't know.
The roof issue.
Yeah, we could solve that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, go ahead.
No, we're just going to go over the numbers of the kitchen appliances and counters.
That would be good, but you're also talking about that dormer where you have the proposed with 4 windows and you're reducing it to 3, so trying to visualize that when it's not on the plan. I mean, to have a revised plan that shows exactly what is going to be approved would be really helpful, I think. So I think it's hard to approve it without seeing it.
Right, so it's, if you look at the existing, right, I understand what you're saying. That doesn't, I guess I'm trying to be able to move forward with the site work and foundation so that this whole, the whole project doesn't get timeline gaffed.
Well, that opens up a whole new set of questions, focusing on the addition. How do we feel about tackling the addition and leaving the
We gotta set
main
it back
house
2
alone.
weeks, isn't it? Aren't they gonna be put on in 2 weeks from now?
Get on the next docket.
Well, first of all, I think, we did a little discussion of the addition. We didn't do an extensive discussion of the addition. It was mostly focused on the front facade, with the exception of maintaining the corner, the rear, I guess it would be the south corner of the house.
Corner of the house.
Southeast corner of the
Southwest.
house. We didn't really address anything, else.
I have a question. I'm just going to ask because I'm curious. This really has nothing to do with your design. At the foundation plan, you have that porch that you're putting where the jog is, the big jog, where it says deck over.
Which,
But you,
the deck was eliminated.
no, this one, this here?
I'm sorry. my-
On the, yeah, well, this is well there. This here,
Yes, that deck
this
was
jog.
Correct, the deck was eliminated.
So is the foundation actually going to come all the way out to here, or is it'll, okay, all right. I was just curious, thank you.
This deck was eliminated?
No, yeah,
Yes, it was, the deck is eliminated.
so the jog will be, but no deck.
It's an 8-by screen porch, that's the.
Gotcha.
So we tried to value engineer it.
Okay.
And then that was supposed to be drawn on the set of plans that you received.
Sorry, I didn't mean to distract, I was just curious.
No, I think that's part and parcel of the problem, which these little drawings are really
Is that
very
what you-
difficult
what is
to
the-
judge by.
What is the committee request for plans?
Some 24 by 36,
Okay.
if we can get them.
Yeah, happily.
If,
Quarter, whatever scale they actually are at, I think a quarter.
Well, this is, I mean, that's the full set, this is the scale. I
Yeah.
could do 11 by 17s, but I didn't realize there was I thought you had the plans. Full set of plans to be able to review. I don't,
well, this is what we have.
yeah.
So,
I'm not sure why I didn't, I mean, I certainly would have provided them had I known ahead of time.
well,
If I may suggest for the site visit, could you stake out, very simply, the bay and the farmer's porch, just, a few little posts in the ground? I think that would be very helpful for the committee. Very simple.
so anyway, in answer to your question, I guess we're not comfortable with carving off that section of the application and voting on it tonight. There are still questions remaining, and I think they need to be clarified with bigger plans. 3D renderings are possible?
I mean,
Would really be helpful if it can
I
be
understand
done.
that, but, I think it depends on, I understand that the technology is available.
Okay.
I'll confer with my clients. If it's something that they want to pay for, then I can, this architect does not.
I want to put you through, it's just, they're so nice to be able to visualize what you're proposing.
Disagree with you, however, there is a cost to.
Okay, well, all right.
I'll tell you, if you send, I have SketchUp. I will volunteer,
Do you need the DWGs?
yes. I will make a massing model for you.
Yeah, how do we do that?
Existing and new. You'll be able to shut them off. I'll make a massing model. You're not getting windows, people, so don't tell me. You're getting a block. What color are you But, a white block. But I will make a massing model. Send me, I will give you, my card.
Okay, so, any other comments or questions from anyone?
I guess I'm going to say it one more time, just a larger drawing set with exactly, well, I'm not saying, well, this is not going to be, we're not doing this, we're not doing this, we're changing that. I mean, having all these little changes, I think it's already been mentioned, it's just very confusing. It's just kind of hard to visualize exactly what you are asking for when there's
Yeah.
a change here and a change there. So to have the final as much as possible would be really helpful too.
Will do.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. So, I'll entertain a motion
We already had a motion in a second.
to table.
Yes. I don't know who seconded.
You
Did you get a
motioned, I
second?
seconded.
Okay.
All in favor of tabling the application?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Aye. Thank you for your understanding.
And we'll,
Next meeting, or are we trying to? oh,
Range
Lisa
it
will-
through, Lisa.
All right.
we'll try to get a site visit before then.
Yep.
And I'll make a massing model.
All right, I will send you the DWGs.
Thank you.
Thank you, committee.
Thank you.
The rest of them are simple, huh? Good thing the rest of them are simple. Lisa, next time put the complicated one
Feels
at
like
the
it's
end.
hot enough to smelt iron in here.
I'm sure they are too.
All right.
The order they come in, right?
Okay.
9 o'clock.
The next item on the agenda is 23-A097, to add 2 dormers to 106 Pheasant Cove Circle. Joseph,
Approved.
Seconded.
I think, something tells me you have a good shot at this. I just have a feeling. All right, as I was saying, to add 2 dormers to 106 Pheasant Cove Circle, Joseph Quinn is the owner. Dream House Improvement, Alexei Lebedev is the agent, and who do we have tonight? Okay, and kindly present your application.
You bet. Good evening. Thank you for your time. Requesting permission to build shed dormers on the front and back of an existing 2-car attached garage. The new space is eventually going to be used as an office/storage space, as it's only accessible through our master bedroom. Front and back is going to be a 512 pitch roof, which is going to match an existing dormer, which runs along the full side of the house. The front is going to have 5 Anderson 400 series double-hung 6/0 windows, white aluminum exterior, wood interior, match the existing windows of the whole house. The 5 windows will be centered on the structure above the garage. On the rear addition, same size shed dormer is going to contain 2 Anderson 400 series double-hung 6/0 white aluminum wood interior windows. They're going to be 1 at each corner, leaving the middle area for wall for a desk area. The rear cheek wall facing Windswept Way, we're on the corner of Pheasant Cove and Windswept. The rear cheek wall is going to have a small 2x2 Anderson single window. And then the front is going to be painted wood clapboard with the white trim matching existing structure. And then the rear will have the cedar shingles with white trim to match the existing structure. The existing structure today is clapboard painted, Sherwin-Williams, Tony Tope clapboard, and that was approved back in 2006 on the Old Kings meeting. And then the shingle stains, gray, again, that was from a previous meeting. And the trim on it is going to be a triple-member rake, which again matches all the existing. So all the trim and window is going to be existing match of what is there today. And then the grills for the windows, we're going to be snap-in interior, same as what is there today.
Okay, any questions or comments from the committee?
Yeah, I'm having a hard time finding, I just got the plans for the first time just now. So you're putting something in over the garage?
Yes, we hope to put a shed dormer on the front of the garage and a shed dormer on the back of the garage. So we're on the corner, the front of the garage obviously has the driveway there. So above the driveway, we're gonna have 5 windows facing the driveway, and then beyond the driveway across the street is the marsh, and hope to capture the beautiful views we have there. And on the back of the house, the dormer will come down in the back, same thing, just 1 window in each corner, so as to not, impose on anybody's privacy and so forth.
This is the relevant picture, the 5 windows here and the 2 on the side?
I'm throwing my other glasses on, I apologize. Yes, that's correct, yes, exactly.
So when you say you're adding 2 dormers,
One dormer on the front, and then 1 dormer on
so
the back.
you're dormering out it's the same roof, you're just going on
Same
both
roof, yes,
sides?
it's a 24 by 24 existing 2-car attached garage, one in the front, one in the back.
Okay, and one will have 2 windows, and the back will
Yes.
have 5.
So what is it now, just unfinished space?
Right now, it's just open space, and again, it's only accessible through our master bedroom. It's just an open, beautiful vaulted, open, just, space right there. And we have, like I say, the house is situated on the lot to take advantage of the views of the marsh and so forth, and we hope to capture those views on that room.
Any other questions or
My only
comments?
comment is on the back dormer. I think those windows seem
Yeah.
awfully far, close to the corner. Now, I don't know if that's because maybe perhaps at some point there's a thought of making it a bedroom or something, but I would just, I think it'd be better if you brought them in a hair, but
Bring him in a little bit?
No, that actually is that was my question too. Can we bring those windows in?
Yes, I
Put it
can
on each end or something?
do that.
Let's
More?
see, let's try to.
Does that work for you?
18 inches maybe?
yeah.
I can do that. That's, like I say, I'm gonna use it's just gonna be, it's never gonna be a bedroom because it's off of our.
Then I'd bring them in.
What was the purpose of putting them on the end like this?
I wanted to have, so, for the room itself, I wanted,
The extent of wall?
yeah, so I wanted to have,
Light.
I wanted to have light in the room, so I wanted to have windows there.
Yeah.
But my whole purpose was to be able to use the room, and, hopefully I have a desk and so forth, and I have a place to.
Okay, if
TV up there or whatever you want to do, yeah.
if
I don't think that'll change it too
if
much.
if it were my house, I would suggest bringing, as you're looking at the house,
Yes.
the left-hand dormer window over so that the edge of the window frame is in line with the outside edge of the door below, and then bring the other window in correspondingly.
So you're almost saying like half the width of the window in. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Or aligning the window over the door, I think
Or,
that's what he's saying.
well, that doesn't move them very much. Or you could split the difference, have the outside edge of the door frame bisect the center of the, that's just the basic idea is to bring them in
Bring them in a
together.
little-
Yeah,
And,
it's
and
a
I would say,
weird
a
span-
significant amount, And also think about the door below and how it
That
looks
ties into it.
in relationship to the door below. The other question about the 5,
Yes.
do you feel you need all 5?
I was hoping to, again, our goal was to capture the views across the street. That's our goal.
Does this house face the marshes?
Yes, it does. So we're on the corner.
The 5 windows don't. The 5 windows face the street?
No, the 5, well, yes and no. So we're on the corner, so the street rolls. So it's
I see,
Pheasant
okay.
Cove Circle and it's windswept.
Okay.
So, and on the existing side view of windswept, we have going off of our kitchen or dining room is I believe there's 5 there also. Isn't that 4 windows there, a smaller space? It's only like a 12-foot space. There's 4 windows there, and this is coming off of a potentially 20-foot space with trying to.
I mean, I don't find the 5 as jarring as I find the disparity of the 2 on the other face, so.
I wonder, take a look, hold on a second. If those moved, I'm just trying to like define that. If this distance was the same as that distance, you think that would be about right? No, here. Here to here.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So if you
And
look
what
at,
he's saying is if you look at the, again, look at the
Rear
image of the
elevation.
rear elevation, To the left of the garage, you have those two windows, and you see the distance between the corner of the house and the edge of the outside window?
Yes.
So if you could recreate that distance on the dormer, same
It would be.
distance. I don't know. I think you can probably figure it out so that it looks proportionate to what's below, and they're not so separated, so wide.
So the key takeaway is to bring the windows in.
Bring the windows in.
And I think the dormer that he just spoke of as well, I think it'd look better 2 and 2 without the middle one. Just
Without what
2 and
middle
2,
Two separate.
either centered, well, you can't center it over there.
one? Oh, this one?
Yeah, do you,
I,
do you like that?
I don't mind the five.
I don't know that I would have a gap between them, but it's a big.
Or maybe
it's a
just
big
4 right
house,
together.
And it's a big garage, and I just,
Just 4.
and if he wants all that view, I don't know.
Well,
It's a new house.
just while we're discussing it.
Sure.
If you were to eliminate the middle window and leave the outside windows where they are and space the other two so that the 4 are equally spaced, how would that look?
Be fine, too.
So you'd have 4 across the front instead of 5.
Well, those are
It
all-
just looks weird with the 5th one over the space between the doors of the garage. I think that's what throws it off a little bit, but
I don't have a problem with that, but
I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that.
either
I
way.
don't have a problem
no
with it
problem with
either.
that?
It's not a big issue.
Not an issue.
Are those, is that one mullioned unit of 5 windows?
It's going, I believe it's going to be yes.
I think that would be nicer, because they'll be closer, and you want a big, large sense of glass, yet you're doing it within the confines of a archetype. I don't know.
We have like I say, in the kitchen / dining room, there are existing, it's actually 4 windows that are all together as one. They're 4 windows together as one. We're kind of trying to like recreate that, but it's a larger span of space.
All right.
Okay.
I love it.
Any other?
Good, Paul.
You loved it before it even came to vote. Before you even got up to the podium, you loved it. So, all right. Any other questions or comments from the committee? I don't see any abutters or other interested members of the public, but just in case if somebody's online or wants to address us by phone, speak now or forever hold your peace. Otherwise, I will entertain a
I
motion.
move to approve this application.
I'll second.
Do we want to say as amended? And then I'm going to
As
give you the
amended.
amended sheet. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Oi.
I move to put the air conditioning down to 95.
It's a little toasty.
I think you're hot-blooded.
Yeah, you're gonna have to sign something.
Sir.
They're gonna make you sign, so if you make any changes, you would come back. That's right. And notify us and.
No, that's,
Actually, gonna write that up.
write that up.
Turning up the air conditioning.
You would just sign this document.
What was the temperature in here? 76.
Great, thank you. Congratulations. We're just going to get this amendment written up, so it'll be just a little while longer.
Robert McNamee, all right. If you forgive me, I'm not going to write the whatever carriage trust, all right? I'm going to put,
Someone a year ago, maybe 2 years ago now, was trying to walk. I got an email
Okay.
for recognition.
phone.
Is this the amended one, or is it, do I have to sign that?
He just writes it up separately.
I'm sorry, sir, I just have to write this out.
Came to Yarmouth in 2016 and bought our first house, which
kidding.
We love that house more than anything.
Oh.
So what year did you buy it?
We bought it in 2016.
But you sold it.
We sold it just in the past year.
Huh.
Because now we're down here full time.
Oh.
But your efforts are appreciated. I know it's a long meeting. Challenge the city.
Well, thank you.
That was one,
Thank
that was
you.
Good, because, boy, sometimes you feel like
Great.
No, it's just challenging. It was very interesting,
to
very
witness.
challenging and so forth.
Yeah.
Well,
Are you near the house that they're actually totally renovating on that street? I thought it was that street.
Around the corner.
That faces the water.
Pheasant Cove, yes, so
Oh,
we're,
with the wind, with
so
the,
on Pheasant Cove with
Windmill.
windmill
Oh, yeah.
bagging to our right. So the garage looking out would be, they'd be over to our right.
Oh,
bagging,
okay.
Yes,
Yeah, they're doing a lot there.
yeah.
So you're in the house now.
Yes, so we've been in for a year, yes.
You hear any coyote out there on
Yeah,
the marsh?
We always do, like, to be honest, we hear more on Center Street because of the older house and so forth. Yeah. We hear
Oh,
through the walls. we hear through the
okay, there you go.
We see the coyotes actually, right in our school, right in the front lawn, like, sit right there.
Yeah, trotting
I haven't
around.
seen, heard coyotes recently.
Well, yeah, they're a little quiet this
Doesn't
time of
look
year.
like we've got 2 people left for these 2.
Lisa, does someone have a chat request on their screen?
Somebody just said that they agreed with something that somebody said, it just said a butter agrees, so, but I'm not sure what
I
it's
think they
referring to.
agreed with the fact that we're heroic for carrying on
I think so.
in the face of, it's a necessary evil.
Whatever that means.
You're out of time.
I must have meant AM.
It does feel good. I think we were dying in here. There's something else he has to sign.
Is he okay to go, or does he have to sign something else?
Excuse me.
Bob, does he have to sign something else, or is he okay to go?
I'm sorry, what?
Is he all set? Does he have to
Well,
sign something
does he have
else?
to sign this?
Have them sign it, then finish it.
I'm almost done, right here.
You're having fun, aren't you? Have nothing better to do. Go home and watch the Red Sox.
There you are. So I measured it with my, you'll effectively be moving them inward on both sides approximately 1 foot 9 inches. You'll do it to match that. It's 1 foot. This is 2 feet 9, and this is 1 foot, so it's 1 foot 9 more that way. So this is signed right there.
More or less. You can.
More or
you-
less.
Here, oh, sir, here you go. Eyeball it.
Yeah, I balled it, but roughly.
1.9 and
I put
3/4.
approximately 1 foot 9.
All right, thank you. You're free to go now. Okay,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Good night.
We have 1 man and two things.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
So,
Almost. We have 2 more, actually.
There should be 1 more in the room. We have 2.
all right. The next item on the agenda is 23-A098 to install siding on the front and left side of 11 Mary David Road. Patrick Burke is the owner, United Home Experts is the agent, and we have
Nobody here.
nobody. Do you have anybody online?
Yes?
Ah, okay, we do.
From Mary David? Oh.
So Julie, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. So tell us about your application.
Well, the siding contractor put in the application and we thought everything was done and fine, but we realized they had filed a 45-day time frame waiver. So it's actually, the work has actually already been done.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay.
I bet it looks great.
It looks wonderful. It's gray. I love gray, which
wonder we couldn't find those.
there's shakes on the side, Tando shakes, which are Cape Cod Perfection is the color. And then on the front, it is the Everlast siding, the front of the house, and it is as well gray. And it's an ashwood Cape Cod Ashwood Gray.
Did the shutters go back?
What's that?
Shutters back on?
The shutters have not gone back on yet because they were really ugly old black ones, and I want to have new ones put on.
Okay. What color?
I want to do a dark gray,
Mm-hmm.
but they could be black if you'd rather have them black.
Yeah, we're sort of going black would be better. I don't think you'll notice the dark gray. It won't
Yes.
do you justice.
Right.
So,
Yep.
Julie, now I understand why I couldn't find the house. I was looking for a red house.
It was red.
I know, but it wasn't today.
It wasn't
When I was looking for
today.
it.
so
Correct,
Julie, what
yes.
is the siding that you're replacing?
Replaced.
It's been replaced.
What was it?
It was old cedar.
Okay. Okay, and tell me about Everlast. I'm not familiar with it. What is it?
I don't know either.
It's a vinyl product.
Vinyl? Okay.
What do you say? What plank?
It is. I haven't looked it up.
And Tando
Gorilla
Cape Cod
plank?
Perfections?
Yeah.
All
Gorilla
vinyl.
plank on the front. And the other one says material size is 4.5-inch Everlast.
And this is
On the front?
already installed and done.
It is, yes. We did not realize that they had done what they did.
Yeah.
Nor do we not know that they weren't attending today.
Mm-hmm.
We're generally not in love with vinyl siding on houses, but since it's already there,
It's not vinyl.
and didn't she say it was?
Well, it's not.
No,
it says
it's a-
longer lasting siding option to vinyl.
It's like it's a composite.
Oh,
It really
oh,
is
that's-
nice, I promise. It doesn't look like vinyl at all.
Not shiny.
No.
I looked it up this afternoon because I never heard of it. I wanted to see if it was vinyl, but it's not vinyl.
Yeah, and the side
Vinyl.
looks
Fiber
pretty much
and fiber cement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me
Got 60% rock in it or something like that.
let me read this for the benefit of the committee because maybe I'm not the only one who's not familiar with this. Paint-free, solid color, unlike fiber cement, which is just painted cement and sawdust. Everlast exterior has a beautiful factory finish cap stock and won't need any painting unless you desire to change the color. No water absorption or pests. Thick interlocking planks. Everlast has a thickness that is 543% thicker than vinyl siding, and common feedback about vinyl siding is that it is flimsy, brittle, and cracks easily. Everlast's thick planks give it the appearance of real wood. Realistic wood grain texture, made from impressions of real cedar siding, beautifully embossed. Wood grain texture is commonly mistaken for actual wood clapboard. Okay? Doesn't actually say what the material is, but sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. So, any questions from the committee? Anyone out there? All you invisible people who want to weigh in on this application? Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve 23-A098.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Congratulations, Julie. You are approved.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Night.
I have to lynch her now. For not following first.
Yeah. Now.
I just saw where you lived. We're done.
Okay.
It's out in the middle of nowhere, right?
Well, he's a contractor, he's not the owner.
Oh, oh, there you go.
We'll be with you in just a second.
Been
Gotta
working
get
there
the
for like
paperwork
5
done.
years already?
Oh, yeah. why this is called Dennis Pond when I get to it from Yarmouth.
That's a very good question.
You can't go if you live in Yarmouth.
Kind of the town of Dennis, it's something else, it's a person, I think.
It was named after Dennis,
Oh, there you go.
the man.
Could be.
Couldn't go, you have to have kids.
So I can't go there even though I live
Even though you're a kid at heart.
I had to rent a kid. It's just not right.
While we're making small talk, what does Hartley Botanic grow?
Hartley Botanic doesn't grow anything besides very nice English greenhouses.
English what?
Greenhouses. They are the manufacturer.
Oh.
We put
Beg your
some up
pardon. Oh, so it's
before-
E.B. Norris and Son.
Yeah, we are the general contractor for
Gotcha.
the project.
What is E.B. Norris and Son? No, he's also the agent, so.
The agent.
Well, let me what are they growing?
They have it's a very large parcel. The residents are very into arboretum and gardening, and it's in this, estate-sized property, and
Yeah.
they will be doing some very interesting work. It's a really fascinating property. The original owner that built the property in 1875, 76, he was a senator from New York, I believe, and whose name appears on many of the buildings around here. Last name is Simpkins.
Oh, yeah.
And he had greenhouses all over this property,
Wow.
all over.
Oh, wait, this
And
property?
this particular property, yeah, and it was much larger than,
Okay.
so it's kind of a very interesting, look back to
Sorry.
Did they put the
history
third
and
floor,
use of the
did they put the
property.
third floor back on?
Without further ado, 23-A099 to construct a greenhouse at 5 Carriage Lane. McNamee Robert T. is the owner, and E.B. Norris and Son is the agent. And, sir, you are?
Craig Ashworth.
Okay.
None of the above.
You representing E.B. Norris?
That would be me.
Okay, good. Tell us about this project for the greenhouse.
It is an accessory structure. It's historically appropriate, and it's quite appropriate. I've erected them in other towns on Cape Cod. They are extremely high quality, and the masonry segment you see down below will be refaced and reclaimed brick from the original structure. We've already harvested it and ripped it into 1-inch thicknesses, so it would be installed over a cast foundation. So at the end of
Over
the
a what?
day, over a cast concrete foundation.
Cast, okay.
So inside and outside,
Oh.
it will be red brick. It will be
Oh.
indistinguishable. That is how the chimneys are constructed as well. And so we're reclaiming all of the materials from the site.
Very cool.
That's interesting.
What's the overall size of it?
Yeah, I apologize. That is not on this. This is what Hartley gave us. The actual size is 13.6 wide, 27 feet long. There's a projection on the front, the center door atrium, which is 4'2" by, I would say, 2'8" by scale.
Okay.
Is roof cresting? The roof cresting is happening too, the lovely.
Yes, yes.
I have only one problem with it. I think it's cited completely wrong. It would be much better at my house.
Everybody wants
We
one.
should approve it, amending it that it get installed
I don't think you have enough
on
room in your
my
yard.
property. Is that possible?
Look much better
No,
in
but
my
that
house.
sounds propitious for you, I would say. So,
My house and your house, sorry.
are there any other comments or wisecracks or questions from the committee? Otherwise, I will entertain a
I
notion.
move to approve this
Notion, a
beautiful,
motion.
beautiful
All right.
Second.
greenhouse.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, congratulations. Please sign this
Thank you.
document that says if you're
Oy.
going to make any changes to the greenhouse design, you will.
This is Dennis Pond.
Thanks for your patience.
Yes, thank you very much.
This is north.
Where do I sign?
Right here, and you can knock over the,
This is west.
Mike signed.
His
placard.
name, there you go. He placed it.
East,
Good.
west, north, south.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your patience and congratulations. Good luck with it.
Night.
Good night.
Can you bring us to show it to us when it's done?
Do you want to take the samples there?
Oh, that's right.
Might as well. Use them somewhere else. Use them when you come back.
Good night.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, so we need to approve the minutes for July 24.
I had no problem with them. Move
Guess
to
I did
approve.
that. That would be a that would be a motion to
A
approve.
motion to approve.
Is there a
Excuse me.
second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, I have no other business other than to remind my vice chair and Ms. Ecker that we still do not have the document that we're working on for Secretary of Interior
yes.
Standards as they apply to our committee. So it would be nice at some point if we could get cracking on that. All right.
Mr. Ventron was on
All right,
an
that's.
extended vacation.
Okay.
Then he got COVID.
I understand, I understand, but just get cracking on it, that's all I'm saying. Okay, would anyone like to move to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Let's do this for another hour.
Okay, all in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
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 Ay, ay, ay.
Nay.